lot with people that have broken guns or guns that aren't working quite properly is that their semi-auto doesn't work. And what does this mean? Like sometimes when you pull the trigger, you'll have a 2-round burst or sometimes like a 3-round burst, and that can be caused by overspin. Check out my video on overspin. I might annotate it somewhere over here, or you can just go check it out. But also, it can also be a problem with your cutoff lever and or trigger contacts. So first, what does a cutoff lever do? This is a cutoff lever, and this is a better example of a cutoff lever that isn't as worn in. And what this does is that as your sector gear spins back and it goes and it picks up the piston and releases it again on the back of this, you'll notice that there's this little it's a cutoff cam, and that little nub right there, as it twists around, it bumps the lever so that the lever starts to do this and moves up like this. And when this arm pushes up, if you take a look at the trigger contacts, so there's a little, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little notch right here, and that little notch, as it's being pressed in, gets pulled up by the cutoff lever, and then it snaps back and slips off the trigger contact. And that's what creates your semi-auto. Now, when you've used a gun for semi-auto a lot, or maybe your gun is just old, if you'll notice, let's see, this one right here, you'll notice how the part that interfaces with the cam on the sector gear is looking a little bit rounded off and a little bit worn down, like that, as opposed to one of the newer looking ones like this, where it's more of got a scooping motion to it. So this is something that you're going to want your cutoff lever to look like, and this is something that you're not going to want it to look like. Do I have another example? Yeah. So something like these two right there, as you can see, it's starting to get rounded off. And what that'll do is that as it bumps up like this, it doesn't quite go all the way up, because this part is obviously not going to touch the sector gear for quite as long. And because of that, your semi-auto just straight up won't work, or doesn't work right. So both of those things are two things to check for your semi-auto. This is another thing. On your actual trigger contacts, so let's see, where did I put the plastic piece? Yeah. So on the trigger contacts, this metal piece on the trolley, and these are the two contacts right here. So they move together and complete the circuit, making the gear spin and all that. However, sometimes these two pieces, and you can see right there that these are a little bit, let's see if I can get it further down. These two metal pieces are pretty tight together, so that when you're squeezing it together, they put a decent amount of pressure on the trigger trolley. But sometimes they can be too tight, meaning that something like this is too tight, and the cutoff lever isn't kicking the cutoff can or the trolley quick enough, and it's not releasing as solidly. So what you can do is you can also go in with, say, pliers, or in this case a screwdriver. You can just push these trigger contacts out and spread the copper pieces so that it's looser on it. Make sure that when you test your trigger, you can still feel it touching the two and completing the circuit. But since they're looser, it should release a little bit easier and fix your semi-auto problems. Another thing is that make sure that so make sure that this little spring right there, the cutoff lever spring, is interfaced on top of the selector plate like that. Very rarely does the selector plate break. There are some better than others. I have broken one before, but I don't see it as too common of a thing. Yeah, so those are some things you can check to see if you have a problem with your semi-auto, because those are usually the two biggest culprits. If you have problems ahead of that, you can go ahead and PM me, ask me questions about that stuff. Otherwise, yeah, so let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and have a nice day, guys.